The Fuel Emissions Freedom Act is reshaping America's auto industry. You may have not heard about this, but House Bill H.R. 4117, the Fuel Emissions Freedom Act, which was first introduced June 24th of 2025, is shaking up a debate across the automotive world. The legislation now under review by the House Committee on Energy and Commerce seeks to repeal the federal and state motor vehicle emissions and fuel economy standards under the Clean Air Act and related laws. Its stated goal: lower costs for consumers, simplify compliance for automakers, and revive U.S. competitiveness. But behind the legal jargon lies a direct challenge to one of the most powerful forces in the U.S. auto regulation: California. What is H.R. 4117 and why is it a game changer? Well, the bill, sponsored by Representatives Roger Williams of Texas, co-sponsored by Representatives Michael Cloud, Brandon Gill, and Victoria Sparks, takes aim at Section 202 of the Clean Air Act. That's the federal emission standards and portions of Title 49 of the U.S. Code, or the Corporate Average Fuel Economy, known as CAFE standards. What does this mean? The sharpest edge of H.R. Bill 4117 is what's important: its intent to nullify state-level mandates. If passed, the bill would prevent California and any other state from following its lead, from setting their own emissions or fuel rules, putting Washington and Sacramento directly at odds. And this is going to be interesting because the case of H.R. 4117 actually is cutting costs and cutting red tape. Now, the supporters argue that the current system of the EPA rules, layered with California's mandates, which have always been a headache, and the Corporate Average Fuel Economy, or CAFE standards, which creates a regulatory maze that raises costs and limits your choices. This bill would lower prices for drivers, meaning the EPA's 2023 rules, which require a 49% emissions cut by 2032, which could raise new car prices by thousands of dollars. Repealing these standards would ease the cost for buyers and keep more affordable gasoline-powered vehicles on the market. What this would do is simplify regulations. Automakers currently juggle federal requirements and California's dictations, plus a patchwork of states that copy California. The result? Confusion, higher compliance costs, and supply chain strain. H.R. 4117 promises a single, unified system which lowers costs across the board. And it strengthens the U.S. industry. Instead of funneling billions in forced EV development, manufacturers could refocus on consumer demand, what you want: job growth and homegrown production here in the USA. And it would give you choices, not mandates. With California mandating EV adoption, critics argue consumers are losing their freedom to buy the cars they actually want. Trucks, SUVs, or traditional sedans. Buy whatever you want. Don't be told what to buy. And this bill restores that choice. Of course, to no surprise, California says they will fight back. State legislators, including environmental groups, parts of the auto industry, and California regulators warn of consequences because they want control and power over the auto industry and what you buy. California has outsized power. In other words, at the center of this fight is California's unique authority under the Clean Air Act to set its own emission standards, with other states free to follow its lead. For decades, this waiver has allowed California to dictate national auto policy by sheer market size. And that has been a problem, and that's why no matter what state you live in, you're forced to follow these California regulations. And H.R. 4117 would strip that power entirely, ending California's role as the de facto regulator for the entire U.S. auto market. Supporters call this a win for fairness and consumer freedom, and opponents call it an assault on states' rights and climate progress. Of course, you can tell where I stand on this based on my tone. As of September 2025, the Fuel Emissions Freedom Act sits in committee, facing heavy opposition from the Democrats, environmental groups, and, of course, California lawmakers. Even if it clears Congress, lawsuits are certain, because that's what California does. California has never been shy about using the courts to defend its regulatory turf. It's about power. We know that. And the fight over H.R. 4117 isn't just about emissions. It's about who controls America's automotive future: Washington, Sacramento, or you, the free market. Will we move toward cheaper cars, simpler rules, and consumer choice? Or will California mandate continue to dictate what we drive, how much we pay, and how quickly the nation's transition to electric vehicles could or could not happen? This is more than a policy fight. It's a turning point for the U.S. auto industry. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.